undone by us, which is awesome. But can we welcome Karen Anderson from Mencap to the stage?
Hello! Thank you so much for bearing with me. I'm the last one of the day. This is like the death sentence of speaking appointments. So you hung in there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just to clarify, that video is not about everything that I have done. This is about everything that my organisation does. And it's pretty darn awesome. We are the voice of people with learning disability. And we want everything that we do to help move forward the lives of people with a learning disability. We have our organisational strategy is called Our Big Plan, and I won't go through it, but we have active practical things that we want us as an organisation and all of our colleagues within Mencap, there's close to 9,000 of us, to be doing so that we can move forward and we can make the lives of people with a learning disability as full as possible. The key to that is our colleagues. So let me tell you a story. So one of the very many people that we support at Mencap is Pete, and he loves going to Thorpe Park. He's got an annual pass. He has very particular things that he likes to do. He has rides that he has to go on. He has his lunch in a certain place, and he always has the same thing. His support worker's Jonathan, and they go together. It's all planned out, and there's a big build-up towards the day that they go to Thorpe Park. On this one occasion, not so long ago, Pete and Jonathan went to Thorpe Park, and they went on the rides in the order that he needed to go on them in order to enjoy his day. And then they went to go to lunch, and he had really excited. He's going to have the meal that he always has. And they queued up in like the cafeteria type restaurants, and they chose their meal and went to pay. And the cash point, or the till area, had changed. It was no longer accepting cash. It was only accepting contactless payments. Because Pete has a learning disability, he can be quite vulnerable to financial abuse. And so it had been determined with his support workers and the other people working around him that something like that could potentially put him at risk. Somebody could take and misuse some form of contactless payment device. So it was decided that he would have cash of a set amount that then could be quite easily managed. So when he got to the till and the only option was contactless payment, he could not have his meal. And when, quite rightly, his support worker, Jonathan, stepped in and said, hold on a minute, that's not really fair, because there are people, we know that technology is moving forward, we know that contactless payment is the way that lots of businesses are going, but in this case, it's not right for him, and it's actually quite discriminatory. So he was just told by the person behind the till, sorry, that's the decision that we've made. We're going contactless here. If you want to pay by cash, there's a pretzel wagon outside. You can get a pretzel and pay by cash. For somebody like Pete, that really wasn't acceptable. He had the things that he did in the order that he did them, the meal that he had. Jonathan is amazing. He's such a fantastic support worker. He was like, no, I'm not letting that lay. I am going to take this higher. And they in Thorpe Park, if you've been, they have this, how are we doing? They have these like iPads in the park. So he made a complaint. He didn't do it. He supported Pete to do it. That's the role of the support worker. Pete made the complaint. Jonathan supported him to do it. He got a stock, thank you for your email. we'll take that into account. And then he got a, sorry, this is just the way we're moving. Everybody's doing this now, contactless payment. And Jonathan said, no, I'm really sorry, but that's not good enough. That's really not good enough. He's not the only person who can't have contactless payment for whatever reason. And he would not let it go. He emailed again and he emailed again. He got an email back saying, well, we're looking into it. In the meantime, of course, Pete wants to go back to Thorpe Park. He's got an annual pass. He's planned out all his day. They go back. They go for lunch. Jonathan's dreading it. Here we go again, because this is the order that we do things. Flipping heck. There's one cash till that they've put back in because Jonathan has actively campaigned and challenged Thorpe Park. That's how blooming amazing our colleagues are in Mencap. He is absolutely fantastic. And then he's not unique. So we want to keep in touch with how our colleagues are feeling, what they're doing. We really, really want them to feel happy in what they're doing and to feel engaged with the work that they're doing. And when they feel like that, they're really, really happy then to challenge things, to push the boundaries on behalf of people with learning disabilities. So, she says, pressing her clicker thingy, the wrong bit of her clicky thingy. We used to run campaigns within Mencap before we had Yammer, before we worked with Sideways 6. We used to do it on flip chart, in face-to-face team meetings or on whiteboards, and then we would ask the teams to take a photograph and then post it on Twitter with hashtag #YourMencapConversation on it. We were using the tools that we had. It was the best that we had at the time. And at the start, they were really well engaged. And we did get quite a lot of ideas. But the big problem, everybody who uses Twitter could see everything that we were posting. And there was a degree of risk there, especially with some of the topics that we were talking about. So the other thing, of course, was that it's very difficult to take a photograph with a load of ideas on it and translate it into some actions as a result. So we reviewed the old way, and I got a job as a result. And we wanted a new way of gathering ideas from within our organisation. We wanted it to be a really clean, simple, straightforward, clear way of idea gathering. So the first thing we did, like Avios actually, we ran a organisational-wide survey. And we called it the Big Listen. And as a result, 43% of our colleagues actively responded, which is quite high, considering that within our organisation we're spread over 3 countries, and quite a lot of our colleagues are working independently and remotely. They're not connecting with other people. And we got 3,000 colleagues responded to that. We ended up with some things that we were told that we were doing that were great, really, really great, things that we knew we needed to keep doing. And then we had some things that we needed to maybe look a bit closer at, the things that we need to improve. So we had pay and reward and recognition, no surprise for anybody working within the charity sector, especially anybody working within social care. We had issues of bullying and harassment within our organisation that we are quite concerned about. We had issues about how we use resources. So we don't have a lot of money coming in, so we need to use that the best way possible. And we had issues around leadership and being involved with what our leadership does. So we decided to relaunch. We kept the name the same because people knew what that meant. So going back to the branding from the previous speaker, We had a brand, we kept the brand the same, so we had that continuity. So we decided we'd go with Your Mencap Conversations, and we use Yammer. So we'd moved on a little bit, we moved away from Twitter, we moved on to Yammer. We were focusing on management because that was one of our big four, and we came up with a really clear question. What practical ways can managers involve you in the decisions that affect you? We asked that for the entire month of November last year. We put it in a video, we put it in emails, we had our CEO create a video where she asked that question. We shared it in lots and lots with all of our channels. There's a few examples of responses to our campaign. We are a big organisation. We didn't get as high a take-up as we had wanted, but this was the very first one using technology, using a different way of gathering ideas. We had 214 ideas, quite a lot more likes and comments, and we grouped ideas that were very similar together using Sideways 6, so easy, which then went forward for review. We managed to split those ideas up into 4 different things. Some of the ideas were not relevant at all to our question, and that's something that you kind of need to plan for. But we grouped them, communicating, involving, visibility and network. Involving, they were the ones that really answered the question. But some of these others were really kind of interesting and still useful, and we still wanted to move forward. We had people saying, I would like epilepsy training. Please, get me epilepsy training. And while that didn't answer our question whatsoever, then I was able to go off to the learning and development team. Can you help this person? And then I could respond directly to the person who shared the idea and say, I've sent your idea to this person. They should be in touch with you soon. I could close that one down in Sideways 6, move on, and it wasn't just lost in a black hole of nothingness. Excuse me. Ooh. So we did get some cracking ideas. One of them was asking for more video communication. This was kind of there was a larger idea, which was, I don't know what my manager's manager looks like. And that's a result of kind of how we work, because we do have people working remotely, and the only person they see is their direct line manager. They don't see their manager's manager. So they're a name, but they're probably not a face they recognise. So the ideas that came through, that were grouped together around this were, if we had a video, I'd know what they looked like, I know what they sounded like, I kind of get to know them a bit more. As a result, we now have vlogs from members of our exec team. Not all of them, but some of them. Excuse me. We also had, I'd like to see my manager at times when it's not only things have gone horribly wrong. I'd like to see my manager just because they want to pop in to the service that I'm working at with people with a learning disability and just say, hi, how's everything going, and give me a chance to informally chat with them and bring them up to speed with some of the things that are going on here. And we have leadership coffee meetings now, just chat over a cup of coffee. And that's rolling out broader as well within our organisation. We have got other things that can't be as quickly implemented that are still going through. So we've had run focus groups. That's gone to our executive team, because in the past we did that and there was a massive cost associated with them. But now that technology's moved on, we can have a virtual focus group. We don't need to drag people from all over the country to have a focus group in one location. They've asked our exec team to share notes from board meetings. That's put a cat among the pigeons a little bit. To talk about policy changes at the proposal stage on Yammer and invite input. And to run our big listen surveys, that was that first key thing that we ran. To run them more regularly, that's been an idea. There's cost implications, and our review process identified these, And these ideas are at exec stage at the moment because there's other things. I can't say, yeah, we'll do that. That's fine. It's way above my pay grade. So we haven't got it perfect. I'm not standing up here saying Mencap has run the perfect campaign. We didn't have light bulbs because we can't have light bulbs. We can't put them in people's homes and say, don't worry about that, love. When that light goes on, somebody submitted a cracking idea. We just can't do it. I wish we could, it was so good. But no, we can't do that. But we appreciate that running campaigns is about making progress. We may only make a few small changes as a result of our first campaign, but we appreciate that and we accept that it's not perfect. Things that we learn, these are some of the big things. Not everything that came in was relevant. Some of that was down to the communication around the launch of this campaign. And because we hadn't had one for a while, this was like, you want me to give you ideas? I'm going to give you ideas about everything, regardless of what you're asking me, because you haven't asked me for ages, so now you're going to get everything I've ever thought of. And we're, whoa! Also, our review team had questions about things. That's not very clear. What do they mean? How do they see that working? And I couldn't answer. Well, I could go back to the person and ask them another question, and then there'd be a delay, and then it'd go back, and they'd be like, oh, don't worry, I'll put it through anyway. So our next campaign, which is coming up very, very soon, we're going to use the new add-on, which is Idea Bots. So exciting! I can hardly contain myself. So we're going to be using bots, which will help us to kind of focus in the responses, focus in the ideas, so that what we get are, for want of a better word, are really clean answers, really clean ideas that we don't have to keep going back about, and that also really answer the question. So this is the big one. Fail to prepare, prepare to fail. We did tons of work. Justine and I did tons and tons of work together beforehand, and it still wasn't enough. And I'm still working on the campaign which finished at the beginning of December last year. There's still things that I'm tying up. There's still things going through exec. So no, I would say do not underestimate the amount of time that, if you're going to do this properly, the amount of time that an ideas gathering campaign could take. But I've gone backwards. One of the big things that we got was the request to please do more of things like this. So there is obviously a hunger within our organisation for the opportunity to share their thoughts and share their ideas to help make what they do when they're at work much more effective. And if they're, as has been pointed out throughout today, if people are feel that they're being listened to, then they are going to be much more happy. They are going to be more engaged in their workplace. And we have within internal comms, we have a mantra, which is we make it really clear when we're doing something as a result of listening. And we make it really clear, you said, we did. So when they said that they had this idea, we tell them how we've implemented it. Thank you very, very much for your time. If you've got any questions about anything that I've spoken about, I'll be having a glass of wine very, very quickly at the back of the room. Thank you very, very much.